back to the Cammvets Radio Report on WVOX 1460 and around the world on WVOX.com. Now, with the new year, we have new incoming members of Congress, and 19 veterans will begin roaming the halls of Congress next week, contributing to one of the biggest classes of lawmakers who served in the military in recent years. The 118th Congress will have 97 total veterans, including Congress's first two black West Point graduates, two new female veterans also coming into Congress, which is short of the record of 3 women veterans entering Congress in 2018. But 16 of the freshman veterans are Republicans. And I mentioned West Point. Republican Congressman-elects Wesley Hunt of Texas and John James of Michigan, both West Point alums. Not only that, but they were classmates, members of the class of 2004. And in addition to that, there's another member of the class of 2004 from West Point serving in Congress, and that is Democratic Congressman Pat Ryan of New York, who won a special election in August and was elected to serve a full term in November. And also there is Republican Congresswomen-elect Jen Kiggins of Virginia and Anna Paulina Luna of Florida. Those are the 2 women veterans I was just mentioning. Also, there's Democratic Congressman-elect Don Davis of North Carolina, who's an Air Force Academy graduate, and Republican Congressman-elect Nick LaLota of New York, who's a Naval Academy graduate. So you have all 3 of the service academies represented there. LaLota, the last one I just mentioned, he's representing New York's 1st district, which is Eastern Long Island. That was the district that was represented by Lee Zeldin, who he stepped down from that post to run for governor of New York. But all 3 service academies represented in this new class.
I'd be curious how many members of Congress are from each of the 3 service academies.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to see
presented in this new class.
I'd be curious how many members of Congress are from each of the 3 service academies.
Yeah.
$158 billion, I believe it was. And that just doesn't happen. There are constant meetings and reviews of what is proposed to be purchased, what's being purchased, what's being built, taking care of the sailors and the soldiers and the airmen and the Marines. And that is a constant process. So having more veterans in Congress is a tremendous plus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also an asset for healthcare and for the Department of Veterans Affairs. So we're going to see if we can invite a couple of those members of Congress, which you identified, Jack. Very good work on your part to see if we can invite them to call in our show. And I do hope that we'll get some help from some of them on our project to update the Chaplains Monuments at Arlington National Cemetery. We've worked 8 years on this. And we've been facing opposition from Arlington, who doesn't like monuments where you have to keep adding names periodically, such as when a chaplain dies in service to our country. And so our project was recognized again for the 2nd year in a row in the National Defense Authorization Act, which is the key component for defense for the military budget that was approved by both houses of Congress and signed by the President. And so we're going to have more on that soon, but we're hoping that we can get the Secretary of the Army, Christine Wormuth, to agree to waive a requirement that someone be deceased 25 years to be named on a monument at Arlington other than a gravesite. We think it's just an unnecessary step that was installed about 10 years ago. And so hoping that we can add the names of 27 chaplains to the Catholic and Protestant monuments at Arlington. The Jewish monument, which we donated in 2011, is up to date. And so hopefully we're going to move ahead on that. But it's great to see you've got so many veterans now in Congress.
Including 3 guys who were classmates at West Point, all 3 of them class of 2004 at West Point. Pretty impressive, and they're hoping to work together, so we'll see what happens.
Well, we're going to work on seeing if we can inviting them to call in our show. We love talking to veterans and those who are really demonstrating leadership by being elected into Congress. Now, anything else on your side, Jack?
No, that's it. But we cover a lot of college football. Did you happen to catch any of the bowl games?
Well, the amazing game was the Kansas game against Arkansas that went into 3 overtimes. Kansas came back from, I think, 18 points down to take the lead, to tie it, send it to overtime, score the first touchdown, and then Arkansas matched it and went into the 3rd overtime. I mean, these overtimes are must-watch television once they happen, and we've seen it. Obviously, the Army-Navy game went to a double overtime. when Army made a dramatic defensive play to be able to force a field goal opportunity and win. The only thing I would say with the overtime rule is that they probably want to go to 2-point conversions on the first possession and not wait until the second possession, because some of these are really going long. And these some of the 2-point conversion plays now really are make it and you win, miss it and you lose. And it's everybody in the stadium's like, on their feet. So it's great. It's great television and excitement. I was just listening to the Cotton Bowl driving in, and Tulane was playing very well against Southern California. And it's like a Tulane team of 50 years ago when they were a powerhouse. And they had a tied 14-all, and then USC scored a touchdown. Of course, the two college football playoffs. You had the win by Georgia, 1 point over Ohio State, and then the win over Michigan by TCU. And it's great to see teams that you wouldn't expect. Now, TCU is from the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
They've been playing football there 120 years probably in Fort Worth. They just upgraded their stadium. Army's played in 2 bowl games there. And that's the way things work sometimes. You upgrade your facilities, you attract better players, and you win more games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of but TCU's done very well, and they managed to beat Michigan. That was really something.
Yeah, it would have been fun to see Michigan and Ohio State in the championship game because they're such big rivals. But, that was a big win for TCU. And then such a close game with Georgia and Ohio State. We got that last field goal that sailed wide left. Unfortunate loss there for Ohio State. That game you just mentioned, Tulane, USC, is 28-14 USC at halftime. Also locally, we had the Pinstripe Bowl. Minnesota with a 28-20 win over Syracuse. And I think actually Army has a game against Syracuse next season.
Yeah, Army's going to play at home and home with Syracuse. Yeah, the Pinstripe Bowl lucked out with nice weather last week on Thursday. And there's a little bit of a controversy in college football about playing bowl games at baseball stadiums, because most of the baseball stadiums are played on natural turf.
Yeah.
And natural turf gets torn up playing a football game on it. And soccer. Yankees have to do a lot of maintenance to play soccer there. And so there's a little controversy that only minutes into the game at Yankee Stadium they had trouble with the turf. Because especially where they place it down on the baseball diamond. And that's just part of the game. But I know the Yankees love the idea of playing college football at their stadium, and the legacy of George Steinbrenner, who was an avid college football fan. Also, the great games at the original Yankee Stadium, especially the famous Notre Dame Army games from the 1940s, was kind of one of the key, one of the great legacies of college football. Hey, I think we're gonna run out of time pretty soon. Our first week. I wanted to mention that Iona won its 10th game of the season yesterday at the Heinz Center over St. Peter's, 73-55. Iona improves to 10-4. And Coach Pitino afterwards said, a game like that, when you come back from a long road trip, they played 4 games, one in New Mexico, 3 in Hawaii, went 2-2. Coming back after a long plane flight, it takes a while. We all know if you go on a trip across multiple time zones, you've got some time getting used to that. But the team did well. And Nelly Jr. Joseph, their center, 16 points, 14 rebounds, and Walter Clayton, their guard, 18 points. And the only downside was that they had 2 injuries. Derek Jean-Louis did not play. He's expected to be back soon. But Quinn Zielinski, who was expected, play the first couple of games, was one of Iona's best players, probably best offensive player. Coach Pitino said his injury is he'd missed about a month, most of December until the road trip. He played sometime there, but he is now a game-to-game situation, and it's I have to hear more about the specifics, but he said it could bother him the balance of the season, which was concerning. We have Coach Pitino's post-game press conference on our Facebook page, Iona Gales Basketball Report. and very illuminating talk by Coach Patino, as he always is.
And their next game is this Friday at Marist, so keep an eye on that one. You've been listening to Cammvets Radio Report on WVOX AM 1460, heard around the world on WVOX.com. Remember to check out our Facebook page, the Cammvets Radio Report, our Sea Services page, our Iona Basketball Report page, and our West Point Football Report page. And until next week, remember to thank a veteran.